I love Paper Mario, which means for the past 20 years, I've loved 64, Thousand Year Door, and that's it. I kind of pretended the other Paper Marios didn't exist. I mean, I knew Super Paper Mario existed. I didn't think I was being lied to by greedy Big Mario, but that's a platformer, not an RPG. That's not special. You know what other Mario games are platformers? Like at least 4 of them. So Super Paper Mario never looked worth playing to me. I knew reviews were mixed, and 2007 me was getting old enough I was attracted to more mature games. 2024 me, though, is different. I ran out of games to stream on Twitch. Last week, I hooked up my Wii and began the game that some said was as good as 64 and Thousand Year Door. Now, for those of you who don't know what Super Paper Mario is, seriously, how did you end up on this video then? It's the 3rd game in the Paper Mario series. The first 2 Paper Mario games were turn-based RPGs that were critically acclaimed for the unique way they navigated the genre. Nintendo saw this and said, yeah, no more. And so we get Super Paper Mario, this kind of platformer RPG hybrid. We got this because Super Paper Mario was originally supposed to be on the GameCube, we already had Thousand Year Door on the GameCube, and the GameCube already had 8 whole RPGs on it, which is clearly too much. Seriously, there were so few RPGs on the GameCube, someone should make a video on that. So the plan was to do one Paper Mario outside of the normal formula and never again. Honestly, Super Paper Mario is pretty unique too. The closest comparison I could think of is maybe Zelda 2 for the NES, or I don't know, some of the Castlevania games. Doing quests in an RPG-styled game, but with platforming instead of dialogue trees or turn-based combat is kind of cool, but that's where the RPG part of this game ends. I played Super Paper Mario in 2024, and I want to tell you how it made me feel. And the easiest way to tell you how a game makes me feel is to tell you how it feels. And right away, it feels weird. The Wiimote is already kind of strange to me, to be honest. I feel like I'm gaming with a bar of soap. A bar of soap that you sometimes point at the screen. And this game wants you to use the D-pad. And I know D-pads are great for 2D platformers, and this game is kind of a 2D platformer, but oh no. Possibly the biggest gimmick of this game. The 3rd dimension. I'm not even gonna try to be witty. D-pads suck for 3D. You all love Super Mario 64 on the DS, right? Especially when so many jumps are kind of precise. While playing the game, I find myself pogo sticking everywhere in 3D to make hard jumps. If this looks like I'm bad, you're probably right, but it really made exploring in 3D difficult. So this is what my play pattern looked like. I ran a bit in 2D, I flip the 3D, and I look around. Run a bit in 2D, flip, look around. Run a bit in 2D, flip, look around. Ooh, a thing. Pogo stick for the thing. Miss a bunch of times. Now, to be honest, I don't know how intelligent systems could have made this better, but it is rough. Outside of 3D, it feels mostly fine. There's general Wii awkwardness, and pointing the Wiimote can sometimes slow down the pacing of the game, but it really isn't that bad. It really isn't, unless you want extra EXP, which you can get by doing tricks after landing on an enemy. And you get these extra points by shaking the Wiimote. And I'm gonna tell you right now, after a couple hours of shaking that Wiimote after jumping on every enemy, you start to wish you were playing Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo DS. I mentioned play patterns earlier, so I think I should talk about the gameplay loop. For the most part, Super Paper Mario works like this. There are 8 chapters, you know, because we're paper and that implies book or something. At the beginning of each chapter, you explore a hub world. Your goal is to find a place to put a heart. After finding a place to put that shiny organ, you unlock the ability to go to the chapter's world. Along the way, there's side quests and discoverables in the hub world. And you know what? I overall like the hub world. It has all the normal stuff an old RPG would have. An inn, shops, a second hub world that is basically the same as the first hub world, but opposite, minigames. And while it's pretty basic, I think the hub world showcases this game's strength. Super Paper Mario is weird. It's almost like a mockery of RPGs, even though itself isn't really an RPG. Super Paper Mario is weird, like I said. You see, for a long time, Mario games and even Mario spin-off games have been largely very samey. You save a princess, there's mushrooms, there's the same enemies over and over and over, same power-ups, maybe you get one or two new ones. There's also very little narrative, very little personality. Super Paper Mario is full of personality. Look at these guys, I've never seen these things before. Look how this door becomes an elevator, but worse. There are little stories in this game. People comment on how the world is changing. Again, look at these things. I can make an hour-long video on this, but I want to keep this video short. This game has personality. Something that, honestly, I don't think many Nintendo games have, especially not recently. The hub world does an awesome job of taking a tired trope of having a central town in an RPG and runs amok with it. And this is a thing the game really likes to do, to the point of... well, we're gonna get there, guys. We're gonna get there. Oh yeah, we were talking about play patterns. You enter a chapter, you platform, you jump on enemies, you turn 3D to check for things. You turn 3D a lot. You turn 3D so much that I basically only used Peach, Bowser, and Luigi when I had to. Did I mention only Mario can turn 3D? Yeah, only Mario can turn 3D. Let's change subjects again. The cool part of RPGs is role-playing. This can come in the form of different builds, different strategies, having multiple ways to solve a puzzle. When this is done right, you get replayability. 64 and Thousand Year Door have a badge system, and your partners are largely balanced. So for the most part, you get to use whoever you want, whoever fits your build better. Super Paper Mario's gimmick is the whole 2D, 3D thing that only Mario can do. Now yes, you can use Luigi, you can use Peach, but you kind of miss out on half the game. And they are barely different enough to notice. Peach floats, Luigi jumps high. Unless you need to navigate the course, you're giving up a huge bit of the game to have slightly different movement option. There's one exception though. Bowser. 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 Remember how I said a good RPG is balanced? You know, so you can play the game the way you want to without giving up anything? It's nice to feel like I'm playing the way I want to and not the way the game wants me to. Because if there's a clear superior option, you're just gonna do that. Guys, I need to show you Bowser. Bowser breaks this game. He breaks combat. From the very beginning to the final boss, if you're looking for the most effective, most easy way to win, it's Bowser. Sure, you can use other strategies, but you're limiting yourself for the sake of limiting yourself. I know some of you watching think, dude, I don't care, I'm fine limiting myself, and to that I'd say I'd go to a therapist because you might have imposter syndrome, and it's bad game design. For the rest of this video, I'm going to pretend Bowser doesn't exist, but he's there, watching. You need to know. Okay, so you're going to play as mostly Mario during this game. The chapters have little stories, you solve them by platforming in a direction, talking to NPCs, finding items, and usually fighting a boss at the end with not Bowser. After finishing 4 or so sections, you get a heart. And you repeat the hub world again. In my opinion, the gameplay loop is fine, adequate, acceptable. I found myself wishing things would change up a bit more, but overall it's a fun time and that's what matters. It's supposed to resemble, you know, the old Mario games where you have a world, there's 4 levels within the world, and I think overall the game does a pretty good job at that. Ultimately, I think we circle around to talk about what really matters in this game. It's not gameplay. Most games are good or bad, largely based on gameplay. This is not one of those games. Super Paper Mario's gameplay, by today's standards, is pretty dated. You're not getting the platforming that other 2007 games had, let alone what a newer platformer has. And the lack of RPG elements takes away a lot of what makes this game special. Sure, Paper Mario 64 is dated, but the badge system, action commanded turn-based combat, and creative enemy design allows for a self-expressive, unique experience that I think is still worth playing to this day. Super Paper Mario doesn't allow the player any self-expression. When you level up, you gain 8 HP or attack power, and you don't even pick which. There's no badges, no equipables. Almost every item in the game heals a similar amount or does similar damage. Items feel interchangeable. I can't express how much combat in this game is just an enemy walking or jumping at you. If I wanted to just be a hater, I could show 30 minutes of combat and coast off of that. But again, the selling point of Super Paper Mario is not the gameplay. And honestly, if you're going to argue with me that Super Paper Mario's gameplay is good, I'm going to think you have one of those weird mind control devices on you. Or circling around. You play the game for its personality. The world design in this game, there's both good and bad, but it's interesting. The story of this game, it's tropey, makes some big jumps in plot, but heck, it nearly made me, a grown man, cry. The music, it's nothing wild. but it has weird blip and bloopy sounds that stand out. This is a Mario game where a literal child character sacrifices themselves to help Mario while screaming about her family hiding this from her and depriving her of a childhood. It's heavy for a game like this. It's memorable. Super Mario 3D Land is an awesome game, but I remember so little from it. It was just a cute little platformer and that's it. You play Super Paper Mario, it's gonna be a memorable game in one way or another. But before you think I'm giving the game its roses, I said the game had personality. It has moments full of personality. But the game on a whole does not. Guys, I'm about to show off a series of moments where the game tries to show personality, but instead just becomes annoying, tedious, and in my opinion, robs itself of the personality that it pretends to have. Ignore the bad quality I had to YouTube because you can't refight bosses after beating the game. Example 1. This is the end of Chapter 1, the big enemy we've all been waiting for, a dragon called Frattail. The game shows personality by the dragon flying around looking all fierce. I want you all to witness how long it takes before we can hit this dragon once. I'm going to speed it up because it takes over a minute. As the fight goes on, it gets cut to about 30 seconds between hits. But nothing is going on, we're just waiting. The game tried giving personality with these cutscenes, but instead this fight ends up feeling very plain and predictable. There's no personality in this fight, there's no, different ways, options to attack this enemy. It's just obvious when you should attack, how you should attack. Again, by trying to show personality, it deprives us of personality. Okay, so now I'm in Chapter 2. And funny enough, I can't show you this one either because I've beaten the game. However, I do not want to grab a YouTube video because I feel like I can showcase this to you live what you have to do. So the story of this chapter is there is a vase in this question block. Well, it's like above the question block, about right there. You break the vase, someone imprisons you until you pay off the vase, which requires something like 1,000,000 rubies. It's a brand new money system. And to get these rubies, you first off need to earn 100 rubies. So it's like a little check marks. You gotta like make progress. So to get 100 rubies, you need to hit a question block just like this 100 times. So the gameplay becomes this 100 times. I am not exaggerating. You just need to do this till you get to 100. It takes a couple minutes. This is the gameplay for literal minutes of Super Paper Mario. And okay, that's kind of dumb, but I guess it does mimic being a prisoner that is, I guess that is building personality. But once you get that 100, you end up in a room that makes you run on a hamster wheel. Which, by the way, I can't access right now. It's just closed. You click on it. What was it you'd say? Value gerbils. Today's the final day. Haha, hamster wheel. Again, personality. Gerbils. Personality. Fun writing. This game is fun writing. You end up on a hamster wheel, and you literally have to run forward on that hamster wheel for about 5 minutes. Again, I don't need to go get gameplay because it looks like this. It looks exactly like that. So, I'm telling you guys right now, for over 10 minutes, the game becomes jumping up and down and running in a straight line. The game tries that personality because, hey, look at all this quirky stuff happening. And it's a trope in other RPG games to, pay off debts and find a way around that. However, this game, again, does not allow you a chance to have personality because there's only one way to solve this. And the only way to solve this is by running in place and jumping on blocks. That's the only way to solve it. Funny enough, this is probably not worth mentioning, but if you are willing to run in a hamster wheel for about 3 or 4 days straight real time, you can actually pay off the debt just doing that, and it's really funny. It's kind of cool the game went out of its way to do that, although the game does sequence break bad if you do it. Like, the game literally breaks if you do it, but the game does acknowledge that you did it in a funny way. So there's personality there, but I'll be honest with you guys, if you want to run in place for 3-4 days to prove to me that this quest has personality, be my guest, you're absolutely correct. Okay, I'm going live to show another example. So, we're at the Pit of 100 Trials. This is a really big deal in Thousand Year Door. The Pit of 100 Trials is a big chance to show off your personality because you're constantly changing builds. You spend a lot of time getting the best items possible to come down here. And, it's just a big, scary moment. It's very hard. It's very difficult. Going through the Pit of 100 Trials, even in the base game, no mods or anything, is incredibly tough. And it's a lot of fun. So let's try it in this game and see how this game handles a big moment for expression. Oh, this is interesting. It's like we're on a Mr. Game & Watch level. So what are we doing? Well, we're hitting that. Okay, there's a coin. We're hitting that. Okay, it's just kind of a plain level. We're hitting that. Ooh, there's a key. I bet we take that. Okay, we're gonna work our way back over here. Okay, this is fun. This is exciting. Okay, now we go to room 2. And don't forget, guys, the best way to do this is with Bowser, so... The Goombas are... Oh, there's a honey jar. If I was playing seriously, I'd go right after that. But there really isn't a lot of expression happening right now. There really isn't a lot of personality. Both with the way the game is playing out, both with, you know, the enemies and the level design, or just the aesthetic. I guess the Mr. Game & Watch looks kind of cool. But yeah, you do this 100 times. Except I'm lying. You get to level 100, and an enemy pops up and sends you back to level 1. You have to do 200 levels of this. I am not lying. 200 levels of this. In Chapter 5, this pipe is originally not here. You have to make the pipe appear. How do you make the pipe appear? Where you have to these blocks in a pattern that an NPC tells you at the very beginning of the chapter. It's such a big list that he tells you to write it down. I don't know how many games break the fourth wall like that to tell you to write something down. Let me tell you guys what order you have to hit these blocks in. Let me tell you. You go middle block, right, left, left, right, middle, right, left, right, right, middle, right, left, middle, middle, left, 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 right, left, left, middle, middle. You mess up even once, you have to start all the way over. I messed up twice. It is really annoying. It serves no purpose. It's a moment where, again, they're trying to make fun of RPGs. That's what Super Paper Mario is trying to do. They're trying to make fun of RPGs. You have these arbitrary things where you hit things in order and, hey, you solve the puzzle. But instead of being a funny parody, it just becomes tedious, annoying, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how much personality is in hitting 30 blocks in a row. I feel like, if anything, there was just better ways to do this. This is the last one I'm going to show you, I promise. We're in the final chapter. We have a giant staircase to go up. It's very suspenseful, a lot of personality here. You know, the game is trying to make this as, you know, climatic as possible. You know, just, you know, build up suspense. Make you nervous. What dangers are ahead? It's dark, it's gloomy, it's dangerous. And this is a really big staircase. I'm recording this live, so I hopefully it won't fall off. But as you can see, it just keeps going and going. You can't fall off, it keeps going. And I think I need to skip ahead because this thing is insane. And, oh no, oh no. Okay, we're fine. I am gonna skip ahead, but I'm gonna tell you right now, you know what happens when you get to the top of this? There's an NPC you talk to, and they send you all the way back down. They send you all the way back down. It's supposed to be goofy, it's supposed to be funny, it's supposed to be silly. This game is making fun of, I guess, backtracking in RPGs. But you know what? Instead of it being funny, it's just annoying. I didn't mean for that to go on for so long, but I really wanted to make a point that when Super Paper Mario tries to be funny or quirky or satiric, it loses its personality, the thing that, you know, makes it special. Unless you want to tell me the game's personality is being annoying, I would almost struggle to describe this game to someone. But maybe that's what makes the game so memorable. It's not the overall game, it's the individual moments along the way. There are other games like this. I don't think Sonic Adventure 2 has aged well, but the game has so many memorable moments I still visit it and think about it once a year. As newer games go, I thought Cult of the Lamb's roguelite elements were subpar, but the overall package of the game was a great time. There needs to be a word for this type of game, where the game is better than all the individual parts you look at. You know, the 2004 Pistons of video games, if you will. Overall, I give this game a 4.5 out of 10. I do think it's a below average game. But Super Paper Mario left such an impression with me, I made a freaking YouTube video about it. That has to mean something.